So we are breaking into our normal deep dive schedule today because
we really had to.
right, we had to because a story just dropped that completely rewrites everything we thought we knew about the produce underworld.
It really does.
If you've been following the news, you've probably seen the headlines, the sirens, the chaotic footage outside this very specific private residence. But what the mainstream coverage is missing is the actual machinery of what happened inside.
Exactly. The mainstream media just sees a party gone wrong.
Right. And tonight, we are stepping behind that yellow police tape. We're pulling back the curtain on a scandal so meticulously orchestrated that it functions less like a Friday night out and more like a high-stakes corporate espionage operation.
It's terrifyingly precise.
It is. We are calling this investigation the bitter harvest of Strawberrina.
And it is a genuinely staggering display of organized exploitation. Like when you actually piece together the timelines and the witness statements and the architectural layout of the events, the whole narrative of a party gone wrong completely disintegrates.
The disfolks part.
Completely. This is a targeted forensic operation, and we are going to deconstruct the exact mechanics of this trap.
Right, like the environmental design of the distraction, the weaponization of the victim's own psychology.
And the exact moment the extortion was locked in. Because if you're listening to this, you need to understand that the implications here stretch far beyond one chaotic night in a VIP lounge.
Oh, absolutely.
This is a masterclass in how modern syndicates operate.
So I want to start with the target, right? Because to understand the mechanics of this crime, you have to understand the specific asset they were trying to acquire.
The mark?
Exactly, the mark, who is Strawberrina. Looking at her background, she is the absolute baseline of a wholesome citizen.
Oh, she's as squeaky clean as they come.
Right. We are talking about a church-going Strawberry who, on any given Friday night, is meticulously organizing her seed collection.
Which is a great detail.
It is. That is her comfort zone. But then we have this seemingly minor detail that changes everything, which is the outfit.
The red pumps.
Yes, the little red pumps. She puts on these little red heels.
Yeah.
She decides, just for one night, to step out of her routine and be adventurous.
Right.
And almost immediately, she walks directly into the jaws of a syndicate.
It's tragic.
It really is. My initial reaction reading this was that it felt a bit like a cliche,
Yeah.
like that classic noir trope.
The good kid in the wrong neighborhood.
Exactly. The naive kid wandering into the wrong part of town and getting swallowed whole. It's tragic, but it feels like a crime of opportunity, right?
Well, I actually have to push back on the idea of opportunity here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because that is the most common misconception about how these networks function. They do not rely on chance encounters.
Okay, so it was premeditated.
Highly premeditated. What is critical to understand is that Strawberrina's innocence, her squeaky clean church-going reputation, that wasn't just a circumstantial detail. It was the specific currency the syndicate was hunting for.
Wait. Explain that. Why is innocence a currency?
Well,
Because shouldn't a syndicate want like a high roller or someone with obvious wealth?
not if your business model is extortion.
Oh.
See, extortion is a localized economy of shame.
Wow. A localized economy of shame. That's a heavy way to put it.
It's true, though. It requires a victim who has a pristine social standing that they are desperate to protect.
Yeah, makes total sense.
Right. If you take a compromising photo of someone who thrives on controversy or someone who's a veteran of that club scene, the photo has zero market value.
Because they have nothing to lose.
Exactly. They don't care. But a wholesome Strawberry with a pristine reputation in a conservative community,
She cares a lot.
that is a reputational hostage with immense leverage. Her purity is viewed by these predators purely as a highly liquid commodity.
That is so incredibly dark.
She wasn't targeted despite being a good kid. She was targeted because of it. The red pumps were just the signal that the asset had temporarily left the vault.
Left the vault. Man, that reframes the entire timeline for me. Because it means they were waiting for a moment of vulnerability.
They absolutely were.
Which makes the actual scene of the crime even more disturbing.
Right.
Let's look at the environment where she was eventually trapped.
Pineapple Lisa's lair.
Right. Because the geography of this space feels incredibly deliberate. She starts the night at a public spot, the Wacky Produce Club.
Right, a normal venue.
Yeah, but she doesn't get compromised there. She ends up at a private residence,
Which is key.
infamously known as Pineapple Lisa's lair. And the layout of this room is wild. It's described almost like a multi-tiered panopticon.
It is. The spatial design is actually a form of psychological warfare.
Okay, Break that down for me.
You mentioned the shift from the public club to the private residence. That is step 1 of the isolation protocol.
Step 1.
Yes, a public club has variables, bouncers, random bystanders, exits.
Things you can't control.
Exactly. By moving her to a private residence, the syndicate establishes absolute control over the environmental variables.
Right, they lock down the perimeter.
And the hierarchy of the room itself is incredibly telling.
You're talking about the balcony.
Yes. You have Pineapple Lisa and Mushroom Marv positioned on a second-story balcony.
Literally looking down on everyone.
They are physically elevated, entirely removed from the chaos on the floor, and they're just up there sipping Chardonnay.
It's so creepy.
They are acting as overseers. They treat the victims like an exotic fruit display.
I was reading that detail and trying to figure out their role, like, are they just hosting or are they actively participating?
They are facilitating.
Right, because looking down at the partygoers like that feels incredibly dehumanizing.
Oh, absolutely.
But down in the pit, on the floor where Strawberrina is, the sensory experience is completely different. The room is spinning. There's this thick, hazy, sweet-smelling smoke filling the air. It's total sensory overload.
It's designed to overwhelm.
It actually reminds me of a distributed denial of service attack, a DDoS attack, but on a biological level.
Oh, that's a fascinating way to look at it.
Right. Like if a hacker wants to crash a server,
Right.
they flood it with so much meaningless traffic that the system just gets overwhelmed and shuts down.
Right.
It feels like they are flooding Strawberrina's nervous system with smoke, noise, and dizzying lights.
So her brain's threat recognition software completely crashes.
Exactly.
That is a phenomenal analogy, and it's neurologically accurate.
Really?
Yes. When the human, or in this case, the botanical nervous system, is subjected to overwhelming sensory input, the amygdala actually struggles to process complex threats.
Wow.
And that sweet-smelling smoke is particularly insidious.
Because it smells good.
Exactly.
Right.
Sweet scents are evolutionarily associated with safety and caloric reward.
Oh, so it tricks her brain.
Right. It artificially lowers inhibitions and masks the actual danger of the environment. Her cognitive defenses are being systematically dismantled by the architecture and the atmosphere of the room.
Which perfectly sets the stage for the operative assigned to keep her anchored in that state.
The Cucumber Man.
Yes, the Cucumber Man. Now, this is a character who genuinely confuses me.
How so?
Well, at first glance, he seems like just a random partygoer who took a liking to her.
He does seem that way.
Right. He's positioned down on his knees between her stems, just keeping her occupied. But when you analyze his specific sensory profile, it feels way too calculated. He is explicitly described as cool, crisp, and refreshing.
Right.
In a room that is hot, chaotic, and suffocating, he's the exact opposite. So I have to ask, is this guy just a lucky break for her, like a nice guy in a bad room? Or is his actual biology being weaponized to placate her?
We have to assume he is a highly specialized operative.
Really? You think he's in on it?
Without a doubt. Strawberrina herself notes in the reports that he, quote, knew exactly what he was doing.
Oh, wow.
His function is crucial to the mechanics of the grift. Think back to your DDoS analogy. If you put a target in a hostile, overwhelming environment, their natural instinct will eventually be to flee.
Right. The biological urge is to seek fresh air and safety.
Exactly. And the Cucumber Man acts as a localized artificial oasis.
A fake oasis.
He applies a sensory soothing mechanism. By providing a cool and refreshing anchor, he actually prevents her fight or flight response from triggering.
Ah, I see. So he's basically tricking her body into thinking she's found a safe harbor.
Yes.
When in reality, he is just physically anchoring her to the spot so she doesn't wander off while the trap is being set.
Precisely. It is a highly sophisticated grounding technique.
That is terrifying.
He is keeping her physically stationary and mentally distracted. She even admits that under his influence, she was lost in the juice.
Lost in the juice. That's the actual quote.
It is. She forgot her identity, her seed collection, her church.
Everything that anchors her to her real life.
Right. That level of complete dissociation is the ultimate goal of the distraction phase. The target must be entirely unmoored from their baseline reality so they cannot perceive the threat moving into position.
And the threat moving into position is the photographer.
Potato Keisha.
Yes, which takes us from the environmental setup to the actual evidence-gathering phase. I have spent hours analyzing Keisha's role in this, and the contrast between her physical placement and her mental state it's just terrifying.
She is arguably the most dangerous element in the room up to this point.
Unquestionably. I mean, let's paint the picture for the listener here. Keisha is physically right in the thick of the madness.
Right.
She's wedged tightly on a couch between this massive stalk of broccoli and a very energetic banana.
Which sounds like just typical party chaos.
Exactly. If you just glanced over, she looks like she's partying her heart out, totally swept up in the vibe.
Mm-hmm.
But Strawberrina manages to briefly focus her eyes through the haze, and she catches Keisha's true expression.
The mask slips.
Right. The reports note that Keisha was whispering into the broccoli's ear, and then she looks over at Strawberrina. And Keisha isn't high. She isn't woozy.
No.
Her eyes are entirely sober, calculating, and, like, as cold as an industrial refrigerator.
Which is chilling.
And the timeline here is what makes my stomach drop.
Okay.
Strawberrina only met Keisha 24 hours prior to this.
That's the most alarming part.
She thought Keisha was just a fun new girlfriend who complimented her red pumps.
This timeline reveals the terrifying efficiency of the syndicate's vetting and recruitment pipeline.
24 hours. That's nothing.
24 hours is all it took for Keisha to identify a high-value asset, manufacture a rapport, build sufficient trust, and lure that asset into a compromised, heavily controlled environment.
So fast.
Keisha is essentially a scout and a sniper rolled into one. Her ability to sit in the middle of that chaotic energy, sandwiched between the banana and the broccoli,
Right.
and maintain absolute clinical detachment speaks to a very high level of training. She is using the chaos of the party as active camouflage.
And then we get to the moment the trap actually snaps shut.
Yeah.
Keisha gives this subtle nod to the cucumber man.
Which confirms the chain of command.
Exactly. It confirms he is an operative taking direct orders from her. Then Keisha pulls out her phone.
The weapon.
Right, flash. The bright light of the camera cuts right through the smoky room, and it snaps Strawberrina out of her trance.
It breaks the illusion.
She gasps. She tries to push the cucumber man away, realizing something is very wrong. And what is Keisha's immediate response?
She doesn't miss a beat.
She doesn't panic at all. She smooths it over flawlessly. She says, "Relax, Brina, just capturing the memories. You said you wanted to live a little, right?"
That specific line of dialogue requires deep analysis.
Let's do it.
Because it is an absolute masterclass in psychological manipulation. Notice the immediate inconsistency between her action and her words.
Okay.
The flash of a camera in a dark, covert environment is an aggressive, hostile act.
Yes, it's startling.
But Keisha immediately frames it as an act of friendship, capturing memories.
Right. She normalizes it.
And more importantly, she weaponizes Strawberrina's own stated desires. You said you wanted to live a little, right?
Oh, wow. She is making Strawberrina feel like she asked for this?
Exactly. It's rapid-fire gaslighting.
That is so manipulative.
Keisha is attempting to enforce compliance by making the victim feel complicit in her own exploitation.
I see.
If Strawberrina protests, Keisha can just turn it around and say, "Hey, I'm just helping you step out of your comfort zone like you wanted. Why are you being so difficult?"
Putting the blame back on her.
Right. It forces the victim to question their own boundaries and delays their realization that a crime has just occurred.
But the camera isn't capturing a memory at all. It's capturing collateral.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking about the philosophy behind that camera flash.
Mm-hmm.
In a normal setting, a photo preserves a moment, right?
Sure.
But in an extortion ring, the camera is a weapon that forges chains.
Yeah.
That single flash of light completely rewrites Strawberrina's reality.
It changes everything.
The image on Keisha's phone takes her pristine reputation and basically holds a knife to its throat. It's not a memory, it's a ransom note.
That is the exact mechanism of blackmail. The creation of the image fundamentally alters the power dynamic in the room.
How so?
Well, prior to the flash, Strawberrina was a free agent who could, theoretically, just stand up and leave the club.
Free.
After the flash, her social survival is entirely dependent on Keisha's discretion. The image itself is worthless data, right? Just pixels.
Right.
Its power is entirely generated by Strawberrina's fear of her own community seeing it.
Which goes back to why they targeted her in the first place.
Exactly. The syndicate is hijacking her own moral framework and using it to imprison her.
But securing the asset is only half the operation.
Right. They still need to close the deal.
They have the photo, but they still need someone to officially spring the trap and establish the extortion terms. Which brings us to the arrival of the mastermind.
Tamarind.
And the way she enters the room completely shifts the tone of the investigation.
The environmental contrast of her entrance is highly significant.
It really is. The front door clicks open, and in walks Tamarind. She looks entirely fresh.
Not a hair out of place.
Right. She is completely detached from the physical toll of the room. She isn't sweating, she isn't dizzy. In fact, her scent is described as sharply acidic.
Which is a stark contrast to the room.
Yeah, it cuts right through that cloying, sweet-smelling smoke that had Strawberrina so disoriented. But the real gut punch here, the ultimate betrayal, is that Tamarind was the original friend.
That's the tragic twist.
Tamarind was the one who suggested going out in the first place. But then she conveniently disappeared the night before,
Leaving Strawberrina totally alone.
which perfectly left her isolated and vulnerable to Keisha's approach.
Tamarind's acidic scent functions as a symbolic and literal wake-up call.
I like that.
The sweet illusion of the party is instantly neutralized by the harsh, biting reality of the operation's conclusion.
Wow.
And Tamarind walking in fresh proves the premeditation. She didn't need to get her hands dirty in the trenches.
She let everyone else do the heavy lifting.
Exactly. She allowed her downstream operatives, Keisha, the cucumber man, and the environmental controls of Pineapple Lisa's lair to handle the messy, labor-intensive work of isolation and compromise.
So Tamarind operates on the executive level.
Exactly.
And the second she walks in, the facade evaporates. There is no more pretense of friendship, no more lies about capturing memories.
The act is over.
Cameron ignores the half-naked, disoriented Strawberrina entirely. She walks straight up to Keisha and asks, "Is the strawberry fully blended?"
Chilling.
And Keisha replies, with this wicked grin, baked, juiced, and caught on camera. I mean, I had to read that exchange 3 times. The whiplash is brutal.
It is.
They don't even care that Strawberrina can hear them.
It reveals the profound contempt they hold for the asset. The terminology they use is incredibly telling.
Fully blended, baked, juiced.
Right. They have shifted instantly from the language of social interaction to the clinical, dehumanizing jargon of processing a commodity.
Like a factory.
Precisely. They are talking about her the way a factory manager talks about raw materials moving down an assembly line.
That makes me sick.
Once the photo is secured, the performance of friendship is an unnecessary expenditure of energy. The mask doesn't just slip, it is discarded entirely because it has served its purpose.
But right after that chilling exchange of dialogue, we get to the most heavily scrutinized detail in these reports, which is the physical exchange.
The envelope.
Yes. As Keisha is confirming that the asset is juiced, she hands Tamarind a thick envelope. Now, I want to spend some time on this, because this envelope creates a massive inconsistency in our understanding of the syndicate's hierarchy.
It really is the absolute fulcrum of the investigation.
Right. Because if Tamarind is the mastermind, right, if she is the boss giving the orders and walking in to inspect the final product, why is she the one receiving the envelope from her subordinate?
It's a great question.
The flow of capital usually goes the other way, or at least the subordinate hands over the leverage, not the cash.
Yeah.
So what is in that thick envelope?
We have to evaluate the mechanics of illicit supply chains to answer that. Let's explore the possibilities.
Okay, let's hear them.
Hypothesis 1. It's operational cash. Perhaps a cut of the door fee, or money Keisha was managing while Tamarind was off-site.
I don't know, that feels too low level.
I agree. An operation this sophisticated, utilizing private panopticons and specialized sensory operatives, isn't dealing in petty cash from a door cover.
It just doesn't fit the scale. What about physical prints? Could the envelope be full of previous blackmail photos?
Oh, that's an interesting thought.
We know this wasn't their first rodeo. The efficiency implies repetition. Could Keisha be handing over the harvest of a month's worth of operations?
That is a stronger theory. The envelope could represent the physical collateral of the syndicate's broader portfolio.
But
there is a third hypothesis, one that aligns with the structural anomalies we are seeing.
which is that Tamarind isn't actually the top of the food chain.
Exactly. What if we have misidentified the executive tier entirely?
Okay, walk me through that.
What if Keisha, the seemingly subordinate operative doing the grunt work on the couch, is actually the regional manager for a much larger, more powerful shadow syndicate?
Wait, really? So Keisha is the boss?
In that scenario, Tamarind isn't the boss. Tamarind is an independent scout.
Oh my gosh.
She identifies a high-value asset in her church group, serves the wholesome strawberry up on a silver platter, and guides her into Keisha's trap.
So the envelope.
The thick envelope Keisha hands to Tamarind isn't a subordinate giving tribute to a boss. It is a corporate entity paying a finder's fee to a freelance recruiter.
Wow. That completely flips the script.
It does.
It means Keisha executing the trap and securing the photo is her fulfilling a purchase order. The transaction is complete.
The asset has been acquired.
And Tamarind is simply being paid for sourcing the raw material. That is a terrifyingly industrial view of human or produce trafficking.
It's the most logical explanation for the flow of money in that room.
And once Tamarind has her envelope, her payment, she finally turns her attention to Strawberrina to lay out the reality of the situation.
She delivers the motive.
And the motive is pure, unadulterated leverage. Tamarind leans in close, smelling of that sharp acid, and says, "Your squeaky clean image is about to buy us a whole lot of green. Tomorrow morning, your pristine little life belongs to us, unless you do exactly what we say."
Which confirms what we were talking about earlier.
Right. They don't actually want to destroy her reputation. Destroying her reputation ruins the asset.
Exactly. The fundamental mechanism of extortion is the threat of destruction, not the execution of it.
Because if they post it,
If they post that photo online, the photo instantly loses its value, and they lose their leverage. The objective is financial extraction.
buy us a whole lot of green.
Yes, they intend to use her life as a perpetual ATM. They can demand cash. They can demand access to her community to find new targets.
Well, a pyramid scheme of blackmail?
Precisely. They can force her to facilitate illegal activities because she has a face that law enforcement trusts. They're converting her social capital into their own financial capital. It is systemic parasitism.
But just as the jaws of this trap are perfectly locked, the entire narrative violently derails.
Completely falls apart.
We move into the fourth phase of this timeline, the sudden fracture of the syndicate. And this part of the story is pure chaos.
It perfectly illustrates the inherent volatility of criminal enterprises. You can engineer the perfect trap, but you're still relying on human or botanical variables.
According to the reports, an unexplained argument erupts out of nowhere. It's a commotion centered around Potato Keisha, the banana, and the broccoli.
Right.
We don't have audio of what was said, but the physical reaction is explosive. Keisha literally bolts. She runs out of the house.
And the cucumber man follows.
Right. The cucumber man immediately abandons his post-leaving Strawberrina, unattended for the first time, and sprints out the door after Keisha. It's a total operational collapse in a matter of seconds.
The speed of the disintegration is critical. We must ask what catalyst could cause a highly disciplined operative like Keisha to break cover and flee her own controlled environment.
I've been running through scenarios. Was it a dispute over the envelope?
Maybe.
Or maybe the banana and the broccoli weren't actually part of the core syndicate. Maybe they thought they were just at a wild party, and when they saw Keisha orchestrating this cold-blooded extortion and exchanging thick envelopes, they realized they were witnessing major felonies.
That makes sense.
Did they panic and threaten to intervene?
It's highly plausible. The broccoli was the one Keisha was whispering to right before taking the photo.
Oh, true.
Perhaps she miscalculated his willingness to be an accomplice, revealed too much of the plan, and he balked, sparking the confrontation.
That would explain the shouting.
But I believe we have to look closely at Tamarind's reaction to understand the true nature of the fracture.
Right, because Tamarind's reaction is the most telling detail of the whole commotion.
It tells us everything.
She just finished delivering this ice-cold villain monologue, practically gloating about owning Strawberrina's life. But when Keisha runs out, the reports note that Tamarind looks genuinely shocked.
Shocks.
And then Tamarind runs out after her.
That shock is the tell. It proves Tamarind had completely lost situational awareness.
Which supports your theory.
It heavily supports the theory of a double cross. Consider the game theory of the moment, the classic prisoner's dilemma mechanics at play.
Okay, lay it out.
If Keisha is holding the phone with the blackmail photo, and she also manages to grab or retain the thick envelope of cash,
Oh, man.
Keisha suddenly holds all the leverage and all the capital.
There is no honor among thieves.
None. Why split the profits with Tamarind if Keisha has the actual collateral on her device?
She doesn't need her anymore.
Exactly. Keisha might have realized that this specific strawberry was far too valuable to share. She decides to cut out the middleman, taking both the asset and the payment for herself.
That is so ruthless.
The argument might have been Keisha explicitly burning her bridge with Tamarind, using the banana and broccoli as interference.
So Tamarind chasing after her isn't part of the plan.
No. It is a desperate, reactive attempt to regain control of an asset she just realized has been stolen from her. The syndicate didn't just fracture, it violently cannibalized itself.
It's like watching a meticulously planned bank heist where the second the vault opens, the crew just starts turning their guns on each other.
Precisely.
But here is the brutal reality of this situation. While the thieves are fighting and fleeing into the night, they leave behind the hostage.
They do.
Which brings us to the final and most harrowing phase of this timeline. The raid and the tragic irony of the aftermath.
The psychological whiplash the victim experiences here is profound.
Left completely alone, Strawberrina is forced to process an impossible reality. The reports describe a very specific, almost cinematic slow-motion effect.
Time dilation.
Right. The main threats, Keisha, Tamarind, the Cucumber Man, are suddenly gone. The room is still filled with that sweet, hazy smoke. The adrenaline that spiked during the camera flash is now crashing. She's deeply disoriented. All she wants to do is find her purse, pull herself together, and get out. I'm trying to put myself in her shoes. It's like surviving a car crash, but you don't know you're injured yet.
You're in shock.
You're just trying to find your keys in the wreckage.
Oh! The slow-motion sensation is a documented physiological response to severe cognitive dissonance and trauma. Time perception alters when the brain is struggling to reconcile rapid, conflicting realities.
Which she definitely was experiencing.
She was drugged, manipulated by someone she thought was a friend, photographed against her will, blackmailed, and then inexplicably abandoned, all within a span of minutes.
It's too much for anyone to process.
Seeking her purse is a primal grounding instinct.
Grounding instinct.
Yes. The purse represents her true identity, her autonomy, her connection to her safe, predictable life. Grabbing that purse is her psychological ticket out of the nightmare.
But the timing is what makes this a nightmare she can't wake up from.
It's heartbreaking.
Because the exact second her fingers finally close around the strap of her purse, the front door is breached. The police swarm the room.
It is the absolute devastating culmination of the trap, whether the syndicate intended it or not.
She doesn't even have time to process what's happening.
Yeah.
1 second, she's relieved she found her bag. The next, she's being physically restrained by an officer. The handcuffs come out.
Yeah.
Let's look at the optics of this from the police's perspective. The true architects of this crime, Tamarind, Keisha, the operatives, have vanished into the night.
Long gone.
They took the phone, they took the envelope, they took their freedom. What are the police left with?
They are left with a perfectly framed suspect.
Exactly.
The officers breach a known location of illicit activity. The high-level targets have fled. What remains is a highly disoriented individual, half naked, sitting next to a gourd in a room thick with illegal smoke.
They don't see a victim.
Law enforcement doesn't walk into that room and see the victim of a complex, multi-tiered extortion ring. They see a participant. They see someone who perfectly fits the profile of a guilty party caught in the act.
It's the ultimate tragedy.
It really is.
The syndicate didn't just steal her reputation and her future. They inadvertently, or perhaps intentionally, left her behind to act as a physical buffer.
She took the fall.
She absorbs the entirety of the legal blowback for their operation. She is the unwitting fall guy, holding the bag for a cartel she didn't even know existed 24 hours ago.
This is why we are forensically detailing this timeline. The educational takeaway here cannot be overstated.
Will listener.
Exactly. If you're listening, the mechanics of exploitation rely on weaponizing trust and environmental control. It highlights the severe vulnerabilities in relying on unvetted introductions, even from established social circles like Tamarind.
You can't just trust anyone.
No. It demonstrates how organized networks actively prospect for innocence, isolating targets and systematically dismantling their situational awareness. Understanding how the architecture of these traps functions, how the camera is used as a weapon, how sensory manipulation grounds a target, is the only way to recognize the mechanism before the jaws snap shut.
It fundamentally changes how you view a night out. Purity is not a shield in these environments. It is a high-value target painted on your back.
Absolutely.
But as we wrap up this investigation, there's one final lingering thread that I simply cannot let go of. We've talked about the trap, the extortion, the double cross. Let's look at the very end.
The arrival of law enforcement.
Exactly. The timing is simply too perfect, isn't it?
It strains the boundaries of coincidence.
Right.
If we accept that the syndicate operates with the precision we've discussed, they would have contingencies. Lookouts, early warning systems, secure egress routes.
They wouldn't just get caught off guard.
Yet the police breached the perimeter precisely at the moment the group fractured and fled. The sirens were not blaring while Tamarind was delivering her 5-minute extortion monologue.
Good point.
The authorities arrived exactly when Strawberrina was left completely alone.
So if it wasn't a coincidence, that implies action. Someone triggered the raid.
We have to ask the critical question, who tipped them off? Let's review the environment one last time. Who was unaccounted for during the chaos on the floor?
The balcony. Pineapple Lisa and Mushroom Marv.
Precisely. The overseers. Imagine the scenario. Lisa and Marv are safely perched on the second story, watching the operation unfold.
Watching everything.
They see the argument erupt between Keisha and the broccoli. They see the double cross happening in real time.
Yeah.
They realize the operation has been compromised, the alliance is burning down, and chaos is imminent. What is their most logical, self-preserving move?
Oh my God. They call the cops themselves.
It's the perfect strategic play.
That is insane.
By anonymously tipping off the police, they achieve multiple objectives instantly. The raid forces Keisha and Tamarind to scatter, effectively neutralizing their immediate rivals in the underworld.
It cleans up the mess in their living room.
And most chillingly, it serves up Strawberrina to the arriving officers wrapped with a bow, providing law enforcement with a visible arrest to justify the raid.
While Lisa and Marv remain safely hidden upstairs, entirely detached from the fallout.
Exactly.
That is going to haunt me. The idea that the true mastermind wasn't Tamarind or Keisha, but the invisible puppet masters, quietly sipping Chardonnay in the shadows.
Orchestrating the final act of the play just by making a phone call.
It means Strawberrina wasn't just a victim of an extortion ring. She was a pawn in a gang war she couldn't even see.
A terrifying thought.
Well, thank you for stepping behind the tape with us tonight to unpack this. The story of Strawberrina is a bitter harvest. But dissecting how these seeds of deception are planted, cultivated, and harvested is the only way to ensure you never step into the panopticon yourself. Stay vigilant, trust your instincts, and we will see you on the next Deep Dive.